The gates of Fort Jackson closed with a heavy iron sound. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. Private Emily Carter stood still for a second longer than she should have. Behind her, the civilian world was already gone. No comfort, no softness, no second chances. Only the military base stretched ahead, wide, cold, and unfamiliar. The wind carried dust across the training yard, brushing against rows of recruits standing in formation. Everyone looked ready. Everyone except her. Emily adjusted her helmet strap again, then again. Her fingers wouldn't stop shaking. She told herself it was excitement. But deep down she knew the truth. It was fear. The first command. A voice exploded across the yard. Welcome to basic training. The drill instructor stepped forward like a storm in uniform, every movement sharp, controlled, intentional. His eyes scanned the recruits like he was counting weaknesses instead of people. They stopped on her for half a second longer. That was enough. From this moment, he shouted, you don't belong to your name, your family, or your past. You belong to the United States Army. Emily swallowed hard. Her heart beat too fast. She had trained for this moment for months. But nothing in training videos, books, or dreams had prepared her for the feeling of being completely erased as a person. The first hours of breaking. By mid-morning, everything became noise. Run, stop, drop, crawl, stand, repeat. The sun got hotter. The commands got louder. And the recruits got quieter. Emily was already falling behind. Not dramatically. Just enough to notice. Just enough to be targeted. Faster, Carter, the instructor barked during the run. Her legs burned like fire. She pushed harder, then harder again. But her body wasn't listening anymore. A recruit beside her passed, without even looking at her face. That silence hurt more than the shouting. The first humiliation. The obstacle course came like a wall of punishment. Ropes, mud pits, wooden barriers. Everything designed to break hesitation. Emily grabbed the rope wall and climbed. Halfway up, her grip slipped. She fell. Hard. Mud exploded around her. A few recruits laughed. Not loud enough to get punished, but loud enough to be remembered. Again, the instructor shouted. No sympathy. No pause. No mercy. Emily stood up, mud dripping from her uniform. Her hands trembled. For a split second, she thought, why did I think I could do this? The memory that hurt more than training. That night, the barracks were too quiet. Too clean. Too unfamiliar. Emily sat on her bunk, staring at her hands. They were bruised now. Small cuts on her palms. Nothing serious. But they looked like proof. Proof she didn't belong. Across the room, two recruits talked quietly. She's going to quit, one said. She won't last a week. Emily heard every word, even if they didn't say it directly to her. That's how doubt works in places like this. It doesn't need permission. It just enters. She lowered her head, and for the first time since arriving, she seriously considered quitting. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly disappearing. The breaking point moment. She reached for her gear bag. Slowly, like her body had already accepted defeat before her mind did. One strap, then another. Outside, boots echoed down the hallway. Drill instructors moving. Always moving. Never stopping. Emily froze. Her hands hovered over her gear. Her breath shook. And then, a memory hit her. Not of the army. Not of training. But of her younger brother. Sitting on an old porch step back home. His voice was small but sharp. Don't be like everyone who gives up when it gets hard. That memory didn't comfort her. It accused her. Her grip tightened. Her jaw clenched. The bag slowly lowered back to the bunk. The first decision. Emily stood up. Slow, painful, but real. She walked to the mirror near the lockers. A tired face stared back. Not strong, not confident, but still there, still standing. She whispered, I didn't come here to quit in silence. The first real morning chain. The next morning, the alarm didn't wake her. She was already awake. Not rested, not calm, but awake before fear could arrive. Outside, the yard was already alive with shouting voices. Move, move, move. Emily tied her boots faster than yesterday. Her hands still hurt. Her legs still ached. But something inside her had changed shape overnight. She wasn't trying to be the best. Not yet. She was just trying not to disappear. The first time she didn't fall behind. During the morning run, she stayed in formation. Not in front. Not leading. But inside it. Step after step. Breath after breath. The instructor noticed. Of course he did. He always noticed the ones who changed. But he didn't say anything. Not yet. Because in the army, silence is sometimes the loudest test. The watchful eye. As the recruits moved through drills, the instructor stood at the edge of the field. Arms crossed. Face unreadable. He had seen thousands of recruits come and go. The loud ones quit first. The confident ones broke fastest. But the quiet ones, the ones who didn't talk back, the ones who got hurt and came back the next morning anyway, those were dangerous. Not to the army, but to failure itself. His eyes stayed on Emily longer than before. Then he turned away. Not because she was special, but because she was starting to become something the system couldn't ignore. The second week didn't arrive gently. It hit like a hammer. For Private Emily Carter, the Army stopped feeling like training. It started feeling like a system designed to find the exact point where a human breaks and then push slightly beyond it. The new reality of pain. At 400 hours, the barracks lights exploded on. Yippee, move, move, move. No warning, no patience, no transition from sleep to wakefulness. Just violence disguised as discipline. Emily rolled off her bunk, boots already in her hands. Her body didn't feel like hers anymore. It felt borrowed, worn, and exhausted. Outside, the air was cold enough to bite. The drill instructor paced in front of the formation like a predator. You think last week was hard, he shouted. Last week was warm-up. Emily felt her stomach drop. That meant only one thing. It was going to get worse. The obstacle course, level 2 of hell. The course wasn't just difficult anymore. It was personal. Walls were higher. Ropes were slicker. The mud pits were deeper, almost swallowing boots whole. Run it, the instructor ordered. The first wave of recruits launched forward. Emily followed. Not fast. Not confident. But present. The fall that changed everything. Halfway through the course, she hit the rope climb. Her hands were already blistered from previous days. She pulled once. Twice. Her grip failed. She fell. Hard. This time it wasn't just mud. It was humiliation. A whistle blew. Carter again. Her chest tightened. Her arms shook. Behind her, she heard someone mutter. She's done. Something inside her snapped, but not into defeat. Into refusal. She stood up slowly. wiped mud from her face, and climbed again. The punishment loop. Failure in training wasn't ignored. It was multiplied. Every mistake became repetition. Every weakness became exposure. Emily climbed, fell, climbed again, fell again. Her hands split open. Blood mixed with dirt. But she didn't stop moving. Not because she was strong. Because stopping meant giving them permission to erase her from the group. And she wasn't ready to disappear. The moment everyone noticed. On the fifth attempt, something changed. Not her strength. Her rhythm. She stopped rushing. Stopped reacting. Started adjusting. Step. Grip. Pull. Shift. Breathe. She climbed slower, but cleaner. And for the first time, she reached the top. No celebration. No applause. Just silence from above. Even the instructor noticed. And silence from him meant something important. He was no longer evaluating her as weak. He was observing her as a variable. The collapse after success. But success didn't save her. It punished her too. That night, Emily collapsed on her bunk. Her hands were wrapped in rough bandages. Her arms felt like they had been replaced with stone. A recruit nearby whispered, "She made it once, she'll fail tomorrow." Emily heard it, but she didn't respond, because she didn't have energy left for anything except breathing. And even that felt borrowed. The emotional crack. Later that night alone, she stared at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come. Pain wouldn't stop. Thoughts wouldn't quiet. Her mind replayed every mistake. Every fall. Every laugh. Every command shouted at her like she was less than human. For the first time, she didn't think, "Can I survive this?" She thought, "Why am I still trying?" Her eyes burned. Not from exhaustion. From emotional pressure she didn't know how to release. The unexpected moment. The next morning came too soon. Training resumed. Again. Always again. During a tactical carry drill, recruits had to move injured soldiers across a simulated battlefield. Emily was assigned a partner, another exhausted recruit who could barely stand. Halfway through, he slipped. His leg twisted. He screamed. The instructor shouted, "Continue the exercise." Most recruits hesitated. Some froze. Emily didn't. She grabbed the recruit under his arm and dragged him forward. Step by step. Slow. Painful. Unstable. But forward. The first real choice. She could have dropped him. Passed the drill alone. Saved herself from failure. Instead, she said through clenched teeth, "I've got you, just breathe." The recruit looked at her like he didn't understand. Nobody had said that to him in training. Not like that. Not with humanity. They reached the finish line last. Dead last. But they finished. The instructor's silence changes. Later, the drill instructor reviewed the exercise. Most recruits were exhausted. Some were frustrated. Emily stood still, waiting for punishment, waiting for criticism, waiting for the usual. But it didn't come immediately. Instead, the instructor walked past everyone and stopped near her. He didn't look angry. He didn't look impressed either. Just observant. "You were slow," he said. Emily nodded, "Yes, sir." "You could have left him." Another pause. Emily swallowed, "Yes, sir." A longer silence. Then he said something different. "But you didn't." And he walked away. That was it. But for Emily, It felt heavier than any punishment, the seed of something new. That night she didn't collapse the same way. Still exhausted, still in pain, but something inside her shifted. She wasn't just surviving drills anymore. She was starting to affect them. And in the military, that was the first step toward something rare, becoming someone others relied on. The morning started differently. No shouting, no immediate chaos, just silence. That was always the most dangerous sign. For Private Emily Carter, silence in the military never meant peace. It meant preparation for something worse. The briefing that changed everything. All recruits stood inside a dim training hall. A large digital map glowed on the wall, terrain, coordinates, routes, enemy positions marked in red. The drill instructor walked in slowly. No yelling, no insults. That alone made everyone tense. "This is a mission simulation," he said. "But don't treat it like a game." He paused. A long pause. Then added, "Because most of you will fail it like it's real life anyway." Emily felt her stomach tighten. This wasn't training anymore. It was evaluation. The scenario. The mission was simple on paper. Secure a hostage point. Navigate hostile zones. Complete extraction under time pressure. But nothing in the army was ever simple. Teams were divided. Leaders were assigned. And for the first time, Emily was placed as second in command of her unit. She froze slightly. Not because she was ready, but because she was. The leader of her team, Sergeant Miles, gave her a quick look. "Stay close, don't freeze up." It wasn't kindness. It was warning. The drop zone. Hours later, they were transported to the simulation field. A wide forest training zone. Fog machines filled the air. Hidden speakers played distant gunfire. Everything felt too real. Emily's heart beat faster as she stepped off the vehicle. "This is just simulation," she whispered to herself. But her body didn't believe her. The ground felt unstable. The air felt heavier. And the silence between commands felt like waiting for impact. First contact simulation. "Move," Sergeant Miles ordered. The team advanced. At first, everything went smoothly. Then, a sudden explosion sound echoed. Smoke burst from the left side. A training ambush had started. Recruits scattered instantly. Confusion. Noise. Shouting. Emily's instincts froze for half a second. That half second mattered. "Carter, cover left," Miles shouted. She snapped back. Moved. Raised her weapon. But her breathing was too fast. Her hands weren't steady. The first failure inside the mission. A teammate rushed forward too quickly. He broke formation. Another simulation shot triggered. He dropped, marked as injured. Out of the exercise. Miles cursed under his breath. "Stay together, don't break formation." Emily felt guilt hit her immediately. She should have warned him. She didn't. And now the team was weaker. That mistake stayed with her. Deeper into the zone. The forest thickened. Visibility dropped. Every step felt like entering unknown territory. The instructor's voice came through radios. "Two teams have already failed this phase." Emily swallowed. Too early. Too fast. That meant pressure was rising. The turning point, leader down. Halfway through the mission, everything changed. A loud simulation gunshot echoed. Sergeant Miles dropped. Marked injured leader. Silence hit the team instantly. No leader. No direction. Panic started spreading. One recruit said, What do we do now? Another. We should fall back. Emily felt her chest tighten. Everyone was looking at each other, waiting, freezing. And in that freezing moment, something inside Emily shifted. Not confidence, responsibility. Her first command. She stepped forward. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the confusion. "We continue mission," she said. Everyone looked at her. Even the wind felt quieter. A recruit hesitated. "We don't have leadership." Emily interrupted. "Then I'll lead." The words came out before she could doubt them. And once spoken, they couldn't be taken back. The risk decision. She studied the map quickly. Not perfectly, but enough. "There's a secondary route," she said. "Through the ridge line, it's faster but exposed." A recruit shook his head. "That's high risk." Emily nodded. "Yes." A pause. Then, "But staying here guarantees failure." Silence again. Then one by one, they followed her. The ridge run. They moved fast. Too fast. The terrain was unstable. Smoke effects reduced visibility. Every sound felt like danger. Emily led from the middle, not the front, not the back. She watched everything. Angles, movement, breathing, fear. The ambush simulation escalates. Suddenly, another ambush triggered. This time heavier. Smoke, sound, movement. The team scattered again. Emily shouted, "Down, form cover." But this time, they listened. They dropped. They covered. They reacted as a unit. For the first time, they functioned as a team under her command. The critical moment. A final checkpoint appeared ahead. But between them and it, a simulated enemy zone. No safe path. No easy option. The team froze again. One recruit said, "This is impossible." Another, "We're going to fail." Emily felt fear again. But this time, fear didn't stop her. It focused her. She looked at the route, calculated quickly, then said, "We go through." Someone protested, "That's suicide in real conditions." Emily turned to them. Her voice changed. Not louder, stronger. Not moving is failure, moving is chance. That silence again. But this time, they moved. The final push. They crossed. One by one. Vast, tense, controlled chaos. Emily kept counting them, checking them, guiding them. And for the first time, she wasn't just surviving the environment. She was shaping it. Extraction point. They reached the extraction zone. Sirens sounded. Simulation ended. "Mission complete" flashed on the display. The team collapsed, breathing heavily, exhausted, alive. Sergeant Miles, still marked injured, stood nearby watching. He looked at Emily for a long moment. No smile, no praise, just acknowledgement. "You kept them moving," he said. Emily nodded slightly. "Yes, sir." A pause. Then he added, "Most leaders freeze under pressure." He stepped closer. "You didn't." The instructor's observation. From a distance, the drill instructor watched everything. No expression. But his eyes were different now. He wasn't watching a recruit anymore. He was watching potential formation. Something rare. Something built under pressure instead of comfort. The sky over Fort Jackson was gray the morning of the final evaluation. No sunrise glow, no warmth, just a heavy, endless cloud cover, like the world itself was waiting to judge them. For Private Emily Carter, something felt different the moment she woke up. Not fear, not excitement, something quieter. Finality, the final selection announcement. All remaining recruits stood in formation. Fewer now, a lot fewer. People who had started together were gone, injuries, failures, withdrawals, broken confidence. The drill instructor stepped forward. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. Today, he said, you will be tested one final time. A pause. Then, not on strength. Another pause. But on decision-making under pressure. Emily's heart tightened slightly. That sounded worse than physical punishment. Because pain fades. Decisions stay. The final exercise, Black Field. They were transported to a controlled tactical zone. But this time, no explanations, no practice rounds, no second chances. The instructor gave them only one instruction. Complete the objective or fail as a team. That was it. No details. No map clarity. Just uncertainty. Emily felt her stomach tighten. This wasn't training anymore. It was psychological pressure. The drop into chaos. The moment they entered the field. Everything changed. Fog. Noise. Sudden simulated explosions. Radio interference. Confusion layered on confusion. The team moved forward, but quickly split into hesitation groups. Some wanted to rush. Some wanted to wait. Some wanted to retreat. Emily stood in the middle of it. And for the first time, she wasn't following anyone. And no one was clearly following her either. The leadership collapsed around her. A recruit shouted, "This is a trap exercise." Another, "We're going to fail if we push." Arguments started forming. The unit was breaking apart emotionally before physically. Emily felt the pressure rising in her chest. This was worse than obstacle courses. Worse than injury drills. Because now, it wasn't bodies failing. It was minds. And minds are harder to fix. The breaking point returns. For a second, Emily froze. Just like her first week. That same feeling returned. I'm not ready. I shouldn't be here. Her breathing got shallow. Her vision narrowed. The noise around her faded slightly. That moment, the army calls it hesitation. And hesitation gets people killed. But then, she remembered something. Not a command. Not a drill. But the recruit she helped carry in Part 2. The mission she led in Part 3. The failures she survived. She wasn't the same person anymore. The decision that defined her. Emily stepped forward. Not fast. Not dramatic. But intentionally. Her voice cut through the chaos. Listen to me. Some recruits turned. Not all. She raised her voice slightly. We are not here to guess. We are here to complete the mission. Silence started forming. Not perfect silence, but attention silence. That matters more. She takes full command. Emily pointed toward the terrain. There are only two logical paths, she said. One recruit argued. We don't know that. Emily responded instantly. We don't need certainty, we need movement. That hit differently. Because uncertainty was what was breaking them. She continued. If we split now, we fail. If we argue, we fail. If we stop, we fail. A pause. Then, So we moved together. The shift happens. Something changed. Slowly, recruits started aligning, not because they were fully convinced, but because they were exhausted from chaos. And she was the only one offering structure. That's what leadership really is in crisis. Not being right, being stable. The final push begins. They moved as one unit. Still imperfect, still tense, but coordinated. Emily checked angles, counted movement, adjusted pace, corrected mistakes instantly. She wasn't shouting anymore. She was guiding. The critical obstacle, the final zone appeared. A simulated high-risk crossing with timed exposure threats. In simpler terms, move fast or get eliminated from evaluation. The team hesitated again. A recruit whispered, "We can't all make it." That sentence usually destroys teams. Emily heard it, and instead of panic, she responded calmly, "Then we don't move as individuals." She looked at them. One unit, one movement, no gaps. The execution. They moved. Vast, coordinated, terrifyingly precise under pressure. One mistake would have broken everything. But Emily stayed centered. Not perfect, but steady enough to hold them together. They crossed the zone. No collapse. No split. No failure. The final extraction point. A siren sounded. The exercise ended. Black field complete flashed on the screen. Silence followed. Heavy silence. The kind that comes after survival. The team collapsed, some sitting, some kneeling, some just staring at the ground. Exhausted. Alive. Changed. The instructor arrives. The drill instructor stepped into the zone. No shouting. No emotional reaction. Just observation. He walked through the group, one by one, then stopped in front of Emily. For a long moment, he said nothing. Emily stood straight. Tired. Dirty. Hands still shaking slightly. Waiting. The verdict. Finally, he spoke. Most recruits survive training. A pause. Very few adapt to it. Another pause. He looked directly at her. You didn't just adapt. Silence stretched. Then, you controlled chaos. Emily didn't react outwardly. But inside, that hit harder than any physical punishment she had ever endured. The final recognition. He stepped back slightly. Private Carter. Another pause. You are recommended for advanced officer training. The words landed slowly. Not loudly, but permanently. Around her, some recruits looked surprised. Some relieved. Some inspired. Emily's realization. She didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. Not yet. Because in her mind, she was still the girl who almost quit in week 1. Still the girl who fell on the rope course. Still the girl who froze in her first drill. But now, she was also something else. Someone who didn't break when everything around her collapsed. Final scene. That night, Emily stood alone outside the barracks. The wind was cold again. But different now. She wasn't shaking this time. She looked at the training field in the distance. The same place that once made her doubt everything. Now it felt smaller. Not easier. Just understood. She whispered, I didn't come here to survive. A pause. I came here to become someone stronger than fear.